Hey friends, let's start with something simple and uncontroversial. Societies react to pressure. Individuals react to pressure. Groups react to pressure. This isn't ideology, it's human behavior. When people feel secure, they tend to moderate. When they feel targeted, humiliated, or boxed into an identity they didn't choose, they don't dissolve, they consolidate. This is where discussions around hatred and radicalization usually go wrong. We treat hatred as an opinion, a mood, a vent. In reality, hatred behaves more like a force. It creates motion, it provokes response, and once it enters a system, it rarely disappears quietly. Now apply this to the real world. When Muslims, as a broad and diverse group, are subjected to sustained suspicion through rhetoric, policy, media framing, or casual social hostility, the stated intention is often security or prevention. The assumption is that pressure will discourage extremism. That assumption is not just flawed, it is backwards. Because pressure without distinction does not weaken radicalism, it strengthens it. Radical movements do not emerge from acceptance, they emerge from alienation. They recruit not by inventing anger, but by harvesting it. The first step of radicalization is not ideology, it is grievance. A feeling that one's identity is permanently on trial, that loyalty must be proven endlessly, that dignity is conditional. When a young Muslim grows up hearing that their faith is inherently suspect, that their community must constantly apologize, that they are one collective crime away from public condemnation, something critical happens. They stop believing the system sees them as individuals. And once individuality disappears, group identity hardens. This is where extremists enter the picture, not as creators of hatred, but as translators of it. They don't begin with violence, they begin with recognition. They say, "You're not imagining this. You are being targeted. You will never be fully accepted. Look at the laws, look at the language, look at the jokes." And the most dangerous part is that they often point to real examples. Hatred supplies them with evidence. At that point, ideology becomes secondary. The emotional groundwork is already done. A common mistake is to assume that harsh criticism or social hostility will scare people into abandoning their identity. But identity under attack doesn't dissolve, it intensifies. History is very clear on this. Pressure applied to belief systems without offering dignity produces defensiveness, not reform. The more an identity is attacked, the more people cling to it in its most rigid form. This is not unique to Muslims. It is a general human pattern. But when applied to Muslims in a post-terror, hyper-surveilled global environment, the effect is amplified. There is an important distinction that must be made and is often deliberately blurred. Criticism of ideas, doctrines, and behaviors is legitimate and necessary. No belief system is beyond scrutiny. But collective blame is not criticism, it is simplification. And simplification is exactly what radical ideologies thrive on. Extremism needs a binary world. Us versus them, pure versus corrupt, believer versus enemy. Broad hatred erases nuance and hands extremists the clean moral battlefield they want. Moderates vanish. Reformers are dismissed as traitors. Ordinary people trying to live ordinary lives are pushed to the margins. At the same time, hatred corrodes the society that expresses it. When millions of people are reduced to symbols rather than seen as individuals, moral shortcuts become easier. Suspicion feels justified. Discrimination feels rational. Exceptional measures start sounding normal. And once dehumanization becomes casual, violence, whether physical or institutional, no longer feels extreme. This is how cycles form. Hatred toward Muslims produces alienation. Alienation produces resentment. Resentment, when organized, produces radicalism. Radicalism then becomes proof that the hatred was right all along. Each side feeds the other. Each reaction becomes justification for the next. And the cycle tightens, not because anyone planned it, but because emotional reasoning replaced strategic thinking. Breaking this cycle does not require denial. Radical Islam exists. Dangerous ideas exist. Violence must be confronted decisively. But confrontation without precision is self-defeating. You don't defeat extremism by attacking identities. You defeat it by isolating behaviors, targeting actions, and refusing to turn entire communities into collateral damage. Hatred feels strong. It feels decisive. It feels satisfying. But it is intellectually lazy and strategically disastrous. Hatred does not eliminate enemies, it manufactures them.
rebel! Who are you?
You don't need to remember my name. Remember this defeat.
You will pay for this, peasant girl!
I feel